And to assess the ongoing situation, I'm being joined by all of my colleagues here. Dharamjot Kaur, who's joining me from the newsroom. There is Idris Loan joining me from Srinagar, and Siddhant Sibal, who's our Assistant Director of Foreign Affairs, who's also here with me. Let me start with Idris, who's there in Srinagar. Idris, there is recent updates regarding 2 blasts which have been heard on your front in Srinagar. If you can give us whatever else we know at this point.
Well, even Shivan, just 10 minutes ago, there were 3 major blasts, massive blasts that were heard all across Srinagar city, especially areas close to the airport. The intensity of the blast there was much more. We do not know where exactly was the location of these blasts, or whether they were drones that were basically being neutralized by the Indian armed forces at the moment. But 3 major blasts took place again in Srinagar after a break of around 3 to 4 hours. We saw early morning there were multiple blasts in Srinagar, Udhampur, Poonch, but after that there was a lull. But now we heard 3 massive blasts yet again in Srinagar. Let me tell you that there has been debris found at 2 places early in the morning. One in Lasjan area of Srinagar, where security forces picked up the debris for further investigation. There was debris also found close to Dal Lake in Srinagar, which has also been picked up by the Indian Army, and the FSL team is now investigating whether it's a part of a missile or it's a part of a drone. On the other hand, we've seen ceasefire violations being carried by the Pakistani Army continuously at various locations along the line of control and international border. In North Kashmir's Kupwara, Baramulla, Uri, and now even in Gurez sector, we've heard that there has been ceasefire violation from the Pakistani side. They're resorting to heavy mortar shelling in these areas, and not only are they targeting the army installations, but they're also targeting the civilian population living close to the line of control. On the other hand, in the Jammu division also, where we saw early morning, there were multiple blasts heard in Jammu, Udhampur and Poonch area as well. There was massive shelling from the Pakistani side in the Rajouri sector, in which 5 people have been killed so far, which includes women and children. The ADDC of Rajouri district was also killed during that shelling.
Yes.
One of the shells had actually blasted on his house, and he was injured, later taken to the hospital where he succumbed to his injuries. So the situation still very grim. A lot of tension among the people after hearing these blasts again. A lot of people preferring to stay indoors. Government has been making appeals to people, especially living close to the line of control, as well as to army installations or airports, to stay indoors and not create too much of panic.
Idris, stay with me. I'll come back to you. Now, let me cut across to Siddhant Sibal, our Assistant Editor for Foreign Affairs. Siddhant, their disinformation campaigns, using international flights to keep their civil airspace open when they're in the middle of a heavy conflict with India at this point, and then the seeds of discord that they're trying to sow inside India when it comes to specifically targeting religious sites across Punjab and Jammu and Kashmir. We've seen Gurdwaras being hit. Is this showing Pakistani desperation? What they're unable to do on the front, they're trying to sow inside India?
Well, we know that there has been a major escalation. Yes, the Indian side has pointed out that as to how commercial flights are being used as a shield by the Pakistani side at a time when they have been indulging in strikes as well. I'm standing in front of India's Ministry of External Affairs, where almost a short while ago we saw the big presser. It is now starting to rain as well. So we will be continuing with the update on the ground, but we will see another briefing most likely in the evening, because India basically is also making it clear that when it comes to the information warfare, India will continue to put its facts which are very important at a time of Pakistani misinformation.
All right, Siddhant, leave you to take some cover there as it starts to rain. I'll come back to you in a bit. Let me cut across now to Dharamjot Kaur, who's there with me in the newsroom. Dharam, we heard what the Foreign Secretary said just like a little over half an hour ago. He has been mentioning this in presser after presser, talking about how especially Punjab and Jammu and Kashmir, specific sites in these regions, and let's not mince any words. Gurdwara in Poonch district was attacked on the first night itself, and then we've also heard the Foreign Secretary mention Anandpur Sahib and also Amritsar, which was in the trajectory of missiles coming in from Pakistan, as they try to sow a narrative inside India that India itself is trying to attack Amritsar. It's absolutely preposterous and a new low for Pakistan. Give us your thoughts.
Well, you're absolutely right, Shivan. I think this is part of Pakistan's entire apparatus with respect to trying to create discontent and divide the Indian populace in different demographics, even though despite all the efforts, it still stands united. Having said that, we've seen multiple efforts on Pakistan's front with respect to trying to target different religious sites. We saw it happen on the first night in Poonch, not just with the Gurdwara in Poonch, also a church that came under attack and a convent school near it that came under attack. Fortunately, the school was empty, so there was no loss of life at that point. So that was fortunate enough, but again, a lot of infrastructural damage on that front. Then a lot of attempted strikes by Pakistan on Amritsar and Anandpur Sahib, religious sites in these places. Of course, the Indian Armed Forces foiled these bids repeatedly, time and again. We've also been hearing how the civic administration has been actively involved in activating sirens, ensuring that the public stays inside, ensuring that there's minimal panic and minimal damage on the ground, that people stay at home. Another very interesting thing, Shivan, I wanted to point out, I was speaking to people from all across Punjab, especially the border villages and states, and this is what they had to say. They said war is no human's first choice, but if push comes to shove, the people of Punjab and the villages and the cities of Punjab are standing like a wall every time Pakistan is going to attack. So no matter the amount of effort that Pakistan keeps putting in terms of trying to divide the country demographically or communally, it's not going to happen. And repeatedly, when we speak to people, when we speak to our reporters on the ground, when we discuss these things, we keep seeing those examples coming up every single day. So this is where the situation is right now, Shivan. No matter how many attempts Pakistan makes, Indian Armed Forces are doing what they need to do militarily. The civic administration and civic defense mechanism authorities are doing what they need to do with respect to ensuring that there's minimal panic and correct, accurate flow of information to citizens and residents in India. And the Indians are doing what needs to be done with respect to staying together and not allowing Pakistan to color this into a communal hue, Shivan.
That is absolutely correct. Dharam, you've mentioned some very important points, and what I think is most pivotal and important in what you mentioned, that the people of Punjab are standing like a wall. That is the kind of support we as civilians, as citizens of this country can offer to our Indian armed forces. Because at this point, the entire country is speaking in one voice that we don't want a war, but we will defend ourselves decisively. And that is essentially what India's stance is. We did not look for any kind of escalation. We never looked for a war. First escalation happened on 22nd of April in Pahalgam. Now India is responding. Pakistan should have thought this through. I'll come back to you, Dharam. Let me cut across now to Idris Loan, who's there in Srinagar. Idris, there is an advisory which has been issued in the Rajouri sector. If you can give us, what the administration there has advised to the civilians and people living in that region.
Well, Shivan, there has been massive shelling from the Pakistani side in the Rajouri sector, in which we've seen destruction, especially targeting the civilian population and their houses. 5 people have already died in the current shelling that was done by the Pakistan Army, which also included the ADDC of Rajouri district. We've seen since last many days that Pakistan Army has been targeting the civilian population all across the line of control and international border. But since morning, Rajouri has seen intense shelling from the other side, and that's one of the reasons that the authorities have now given out an advisory to the people living close to the line of control, and especially in the Rajouri sector. They've asked people to take shelter at safer places. If there are any bunkers present, they should move to those bunkers. They've also told them if they can put sandbags in front of their windows and not to venture out. Also, they've been asked not to look through the windows at a time when the shelling is taking place. So this advisory not only for Rajouri, but all the districts of Jammu and Kashmir, which lie close to the line of control and international border. We've also seen the evacuation of people from the northern part of Kashmir, whether it's Kupwara, Baramulla, Udi, now even Bandipora and Gurez sectors. People have been advised to move out of those houses and move to safer shelters. There have been a lot of places that have been opened in Baramulla, like the degree college has been opened for people to shift and take shelter in. Same is the case in Jammu division also. also in Rajouri, we have seen people have been advised and asked not to go to their houses which are close to the line of control, but move out of them till basically the situation calms down on the line of control. But at the moment, ceasefire violation continues from the Pakistani side at multiple locations, and this is not small arms being used by Pakistan Army, but heavy mortar shelling, not only targeting the Indian Army posts and bunkers, but also the civilian population and whatever comes in their way. We've also seen in among the 5 people that have been killed since morning in Rajouri district, there are women and children. A 2-year-old boy has also been killed in the mortar shelling from the other side.
Idris, stay with me. Let me quickly cut across to Dharamjot, who's going to debunk some more claims which again wrongly have been pushed by Pakistan. These are claims coming in from Bhatinda about certain damage being caused. Dharamjot, over to you. Tell us what is right and what is wrong here.
Well, Shivan, another false claim that has been made on social media. This is pro-Pakistan pages that are spreading this information around. But PIB Fact Check has debunked the claim. It is allegedly, the claim was that the Bhatinda airfield has been destroyed by Pakistani strikes, which is absolutely false. It is now saying that PIB has confirmed that the Bhatinda airfield is fully operational and there is no damage whatsoever. Now, this PIB Fact Check is coming just minutes after we heard the joint press conference between the Ministry of External Affairs and the Indian Armed Forces, where the leadership also clarified that for all the air bases that Pakistan has claimed to attack, most of them have no damage whatsoever. Few of them have minimal to negligible collateral damage, but all assets remain intact. So Bhatinda in particular, there is no damage to the airfield, and that's the latest we have on the PIB Fact Check, Shivan.
Thanks, Dharam. Let me go back to Idris, as we will continue to debunk all those wrong claims being made by Pakistan, just to create some kind of confusion inside India. And us as a channel, as WION World is One, we're trying to tell all our viewers to be advised against this narrative. Follow PIB Fact Check on social media, and of course follow WION World is One as we bring you all what is right. Let me now go to Idris. Idris, you had mentioned cross-border shelling, which is now also happening in Gurez. If you can give us an understanding of the location of this region, how far is it from the border, and what is the condition there?
Well, Shivan, there are at least 4 districts which lie very close to the line of control in the northern part of Kashmir, which includes Bandipora, Baramulla, Kupwara and Handwara. All of them have borders with the Pakistan, and in the last many days, around 16 days, we've seen Pakistan breaking ceasefire at multiple locations along the border in the northern part of Kashmir, whether it was in Kupwara, Baramulla, Uri, Gurez. Today they've also basically broken the ceasefire at Gurez, which lies in the Bandipora district. So the whole northern part of Kashmir is basically under attack from the Pakistan side. Continuous shelling going on, not only targeting the armed forces bunkers and posts, but also the civilian population, their houses. We've seen the massive damage that was done to Tangdar residential area for the last 2 consecutive days. The people have been evacuated from those areas, but there has been massive damage to the properties, whether it's houses, commercial properties, their cars, even cattle for that matter in those areas. On the other hand, we've also seen ceasefire violation taking place continuously in the Jammu division, which has line of control as well as the international border. At all the places, Pakistan has been resorting to ceasefire violations, and not only using small arms but also heavy mortar shelling. Since morning in the Rajouri district only, where people now are being evacuated to safer places, we've seen 5 people have been killed, which include a woman and a child as well, and also the ADDC of the Rajouri district was killed in the same incident as well. So there has been massive shelling going on from the Pakistani side, and we've also seen the drone attacks creating damage. Thankfully no casualty in those, but in the Jammu city, we saw one of the houses was completely damaged because of one of the drones that fell on top of it. On the other hand, there is a lot of panic across Jammu and Kashmir right now, especially in Srinagar, where I'm standing right now. Just like 15 minutes ago, there were 3 major massive blasts that were heard across Srinagar city, especially people who live close to the airport. The intensity of the blast was much more intense there than the other parts of the city. Now now people basically preferring to stay indoors. That is what government authorities have also been appealing to people, that if there is no emergency, people should prefer and stay indoors, because the drone attacks started early today morning, are still continuing, it seems, although there's no confirmation from the Indian security forces about the drone attacks that must have taken place now, but it looked exactly the same, it sounded exactly the same that was in the morning. So there's a lot of panic, but people have been advised to stay indoors and not to basically pay any heed to the rumor mongering that's going on the social media as well, because there is a lot of misinformation that is being spread across Jammu and Kashmir as well, and people have been advised to verify before sharing any sort of that sort of news.
Idris, I'll let you go for now, as you've been reporting since the wee hours of that Operation Sindoor on the 7th of May. You have hardly had any rest, and the entire region remains in high tension at this point. But again, we advise our viewers to only follow government guidelines and do not get fed by the narrative that Pakistan is putting in through social media handles. That was Idris Loan getting us the latest. Idris, I'll come back to you in a bit. Dharamjot Kaur, thank you so much for joining me here.